I think
30s,
so. I'm
yeah?
really scared.
100%.
I'm really scared. I'm very worried about myself because I'm going to get ripped into pieces.
मेरा तो थिएटर बैकग्राउंड है, मुझे तो ये करना अच्छा लगता है क्योंकि then you know on set to try and have that kind of chemistry and friendship, it's a little harder to do because मेरे लिए I was like, oh God, तमन्ना के साथ कास्ट हुए, ये तो इतनी बड़ी स्टार है, कैसे होने वाला है?
Like we have hit bullseye with our casting. Like बहुत apt है और उसके लिए मैं ज़्यादा reveal ना कर दूँ emotions में बह के क्योंकि मैं बहुत खुश हूँ. You'll have to watch the show.
True, absolutely.
But the casting is apt.
We are all playing very, very flawed characters and we are all accepting of each other because we are friends. And that's how anywhere else in the world you can fear judgment, but with the moment you come to your friend circle or your inner circle, you know you can behave like a stupid person and they'll still love you and then you can go and tell her मैंने ये कर लिया और ये हो गया and then they just hear you out.
True.
So I think this is the core reason that really excited me for this project, and of course just like all these facets, the romance is no different.
Hello and welcome to News 18 Showsha. Today we have with us the wonderful cast of Jee Karda. How are you guys feeling?
On top of the world.
So we'll start with you, Tamannaah. Quite a different topic that we will be seeing you in. What made you say yes to this?
I'm a Mumbai girl and I've largely worked in the South. Most people know me for the larger-than-life films that I've done, characters I've played. As an actor, I think I've come to a point where I just was really hungry to present another side of myself. Mumbai is a very integral part of my growing up. I schooled here. I live in Mumbai. So even though I worked in different places, I always traveled and lived in Mumbai. So for me, it's also channeling probably the most authentic part of me as a person, for people who know me closely. So yeah, I've not had this opportunity before. So I was really excited the moment I heard this, the story. But I was even more excited when I read the script. Hussain and Arunima both are, when I read the script, I was like, OTT is one place where I think the writing is the hero.
True.
It's really important that the writing is solid. Otherwise, it doesn't hold. And I am that audience that gets bored. I have like the attention span of goldfish, So I'm just so happy. When I read the script, I was like, I want to know more, and it was over.
True.
So for me, it was just a script that I knew I was going to be a part of. And yeah, I think friendships, urban relationships in a city like Mumbai, I don't think in 2023 have been ever showcased on, on any kind of screen platform. I just feel like we've seen Mumbai like in, maybe retro-ish or maybe the slums of Mumbai have been showcased or maybe like a certain part of Mumbai, but the urban life has not been realistically shown or we don't have a very strong visual of it. Maybe we have more stronger visuals of Delhi, Delhi here, that we have very strong ideas of how that looks. But with Arunima, I just knew that the way she's filmed Mumbai, it's going to leave an imagery of what Mumbai looks like.
That's nice. What about you guys? What about you, Suhail? When this came to you, what was that one factor that you were like, okay, fine, this is something that I want to do?
I have never played a character who's close to me, like closer to me in age, in mannerisms and behavior. And I've never, been a lover boy.
True.
On screen. And I've always done very intense parts.
Correct.
So मुझे था कि like I really wanted to explore that and I auditioned for it. And once I got selected, then I read the script. Now, जैसा तमन्ना ने बोला, बहुत ही प्यारा लिखा अरुणिमा अब्बास हुसैन ने. Plus उससे ज़्यादा अच्छा the way we shot it. Like Arunima was so open to, like आपने जब खुद कुछ लिखा होता है, like it's very close to your heart and it's your first thing. But Arunima was so open to improvisation. If something was not working, like if it wasn't translating very well on screen, तो हमने वहीं पे change कर दिया.
Correct.
और हमने ऐसे like आप देखो second shooting day पे हम कुछ चीज़ें change कर रहे थे कि यार ये work नहीं कर रही, ये try करते हैं. So that was a very beautiful experience, a very open, very collaborative experience. So Jee Karda तो बहुत special है यार.
True. I was speaking to Arunima and she told me that Suhail is the guy who brings love. She told me that you are a shyer type of a guy and you got to be a lover boy. Was that something very special to you?
Of course, because there's some sides to your personality where people can, because I've heard this, in casting meetings, meeting with directors, कि you have a very hard face, you can't look soft. But Arunima broke that. And it's that leap of faith. If a director is showing that interest in me, if they are ready to do that gamble on me, then I will give my 100%.
True.
Because like as an actor, I don't think there's anything that I can't do, but I still have to prove it.
True, very true. Samvedna, 7 different individuals came together in this beautifully written script. What was your experience? What did you bring in for this show, according to you?
I think I brought relatability in terms of, because I am a small town person in real life, and even if you look at my character's journey, I'm the only friend who's actually married in the show.
Okay.
I'm the one who has very real issues of space and living with family and living with in-laws, and how like these are my childhood friends, so I am a certain way with them, but then I'm married, so then how that life changes for you, but when you come back to friends, you're still that person. Marriage, husband, that's all, so you now have these two sides to play, and I think I got to play that, and that's what my character's journey has been, and I completely relate to Sheetal, and I am Sheetal.
That's nice. Sayan, tell us about your experience, when it comes to something like, they have tried to showcase what a 30s was, probably, but making the 30-year-olds today feel that what 30-year-old was earlier is obviously different, So how was your experience when this kind of translated on screen?
Right from the time that I auditioned for it, I think I auditioned for it in August or September of 2020 and re-auditioned in 21 March, and then eventually we shot for it from August. So for me it was a long duration, to understand Melroy. And Melroy and me, I feel from my own perspective, the underdog tag is the only thing that the two of us probably have.
Okay.
I'm not from Bombay. I'm from outside of Bombay. I've come here in search of work, leaving my family behind. And then the hope and the belief that one day it will happen. And that is the one thing that I saw in Melroy, in his inner strength. Because for me, external feelings is something that anyone can get. But for me, it was difficult to understand internally and to internalize Melroy, And internally, I saw that strength in him, that inherent strength in him. I mean, he's had a dark past. He's in a very toxic relationship right now. He does need a sense of validation of what the world perceives of him, what his friends perceive of him, And towards the end, the season ending is where Melroy understands that the pursuit of happiness does not lie in other people's validation, but the pursuit lies if you're internally happy. And that towards the end is Melroy's journey, and through that it taught me a lot.
Okay.
It taught me a lot because I was going through a very dark time just before the show happened. When I was asking questions about my profession and whether I'm cut out for this or not, and it taught me that just because externally you see someone and you see a softness and an innocence in a person, that does not make that person weak. And Melroy's vulnerability. In life, everyone has a shade or 1 or 2 decibels of vulnerability, but we hide it, right? Because we have always been conditioned that you cannot be soft, and vulnerability equates to softness, right? So to bring out that vulnerability on screen, for me, was the biggest challenge for Melroy.
True. I understand. Tamannaah, when it comes to, romancing and stuff and all, love, like Arunima also said earlier, love is quite different that we see in movies and that we see in real life.
Yes.
So how did you perceive it, and how did you say, probably because you liked the role so much, how much of you is in that, in Lavanya, right?
Lavanya, yeah. This entire show for me is it's been a really cathartic experience to be a part of, primarily because I think this is the closest I've played to myself.
Okay.
And what's really interesting about the show is that we all have very, very distinct characters. It's not that just because, I might, the marriage and the shadi ka thing is very highlighted. That's not the only track. There are 7 tracks that actually create the heart and soul of the show. So, for me, what I really like, and I've been a part of a lot of ensemble films in my past, and I actually understand the power of ensemble films, because sometimes when you're telling a larger story, you need to have a lot of characters to support that storytelling. And I feel like this world couldn't have been described if it wasn't for all these different characters, and just Arunima's very realistic take on all our lives, because I think it's we are all playing very, very flawed characters, and we are all accepting of each other because we are friends. And that's how anywhere else in the world you can fear judgment, but the moment you come to your friend circle or your inner circle, you know you can behave like a stupid person, and they'll still love you, and then you can go and tell, "Arey, maine ye kar liya, or ye ho gaya," and then they just hear you out. So I think this is the core reason that really excited me for this project. And of course, just like all these facets, the romance is no different. The romance is a very real, it's more than romance, it's a relationship driven story. So we have a lot of, like, it's between me and Suhail, me and Preet, me and Samvedna. All these are very strong relationships that we are kind of navigating. So yeah, it's nothing like the cinema I have been a part of. It's mostly a very real, and I think my friends will be very happy to see this show. So I'm hoping everybody feels like that.
So will they relate to the Tamannaah who is in real?
I think so. I'm really scared. 100%. I'm really scared. I'm very worried about myself because I'm going to get ripped into pieces.
Suhail, how important is it to always, when like she said, in an ensemble cast, how important is it to get the right cast for the right character, according to an actor?
It's like right cast for the right character. It's as important as having the right script.
True.
Because, casting is 70% of the job. Okay, like right casting is very important, and I think like we have hit bullseye with our casting. Like बहुत apt है, और उसके लिए मैं ज़्यादा reveal ना कर दूँ emotions में बह के, क्योंकि मैं बहुत खुश हूँ. You'll have to watch the show.
True, absolutely.
But the casting is apt.
I think what I really like about the casting of the show is that Arunima casted us because we are like our characters.
Nice.
Even though, I might be a familiar face, like people have seen me before, but I don't think she casted me because I'm Tamannaah the actor, but she casted me because I'm Tamannaah the person, because I feel like somewhere she had that little, like I remember her telling me she's seen some of my interviews, and she casted me because she saw me in my interviews, because that's where you're not a character, you're yourself.
True.
So it's very interesting that Arunima actually had a very strong sense of who we are as people, and then she's, tapped that.
That's pretty nicely done. Samvedna, tell us about that, first workshop, because I heard that all the characters, every single actor, was weeping apparently.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So tell us about the first workshop. What actually happened there?
So it's always exciting as an actor when they tell you कि भाई आप ये शो कर रहे हो, सीधा तुमको सेट पे नहीं मिलेंगे, पहले एक वर्कशॉप करने वाले हैं. तो आई थिंक बहुत अच्छा है. मेरा तो थिएटर बैकग्राउंड है, मुझे तो ये करना अच्छा लगता है, क्योंकि then ऑन सेट टू ट्राई एंड have that kind of chemistry and friendship, it's a little harder to do, because मेरे लिए I was like, oh God, तमन्ना के साथ कास्ट हुए, ये तो इतनी बड़ी स्टार है, कैसे होने वाला है. So I think for me, and I think for most of us, the workshop was very helpful, because पहले तो क्या हुआ, एक वो ice break हो गई, and हम लोग एक दूसरे से मिले as ourselves and not as our characters. बहुत ही अतुल मोंगिया सर के यहाँ से हुआ था ना हमारा वर्कशॉप, नितिन गोयल ने करवाया था. एंड मुझे एक एक्सरसाइज जो आप रोने वाली कह रहे हैं वो इतनी डिस्टिंक्टली याद है. हम सब ने हाथ पकड़ा हुआ था, and we were not supposed to tell each other what the memory or experience that we are thinking of, but we all had to go there in our heads, and we all had to break down and cry. We were allowed to do that. All of us cried, and I think some of us cried so badly, and I think immediately that happens, when you're crying, you're vulnerable, you're exposed, and a lot of us were like hugging each other, holding each other. We didn't know what we were consoling the other person for, but we were there, and instantly I think that that levels of like, oh, she's a star, oh, इसको मैंने बहुत screen पे देखा हुआ है, oh, ये hard characters play करता है, और Hussain is a big writer, like वो सब खत्म होके we were, I think, all human beings.
True.
And I think that pretty much set the tone of like, okay, let's come together and make
एक
this.
दूसरे के last names तक नहीं पता थे.
Right.
But we were just there, like वो बहुत ही मतलब रूहानी experience था.
I also feel ये बहुत ज़रूरी था, क्योंकि we are not playing just friends. You're playing friends from school.
True.
You know, school friends जिस तरह से आपको जानते हैं, दुनिया में ऐसा कोई बंदा नहीं हो सकता जो आपको किसी भी टाइम पे मिले आपके लाइफ में,
True.
जो आपको उस तरह से जान सकता है, because they know you from an age where you also didn't know yourself.
True. Very true.
You know, so you were
Very
like
true.
figuring it all out, and they've been a part of that part of your life. Hence, it was a bigger challenge for all of us to kind of showcase that friendship where the intimacy levels are so unspoken. We are often reacting to stuff that is a subtext. So we are not even reacting to what is happening. Like if she's behaving a certain way, I might be reacting to, oh, so predictable, or oh, so it's like a subtext I'm reacting to. You know, or like we were never actually reacting to what is happening. It's reacting mostly to what we know of the person.
True.
So it was a very interesting experience, and I think the workshop did all of us really good.
I've been to a lot of workshops. Suhail has also probably been to a lot of workshops. All of us have. But here, the interesting thing was that everyone, when all of us individually spoke, everyone actually was listening.
Yeah.
So when you start listening to the other person's story, you know, eventually there is some connect which is going to happen. It has to happen. So hona hi hai. You know, that is why after that we met directly on set. That was the only workshop that we all met together, and then we met on set. But on set there was a spark. It's like we knew each other.
That's nice. I think that set the tone for like the whole chemistry is also probably going to be seen in the show as well. But thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And all the best for Jee Karda.
Thank you.
you.
Please
so
watch
much.
it.
Absolutely. Thank you.